Okay, so I want to talk about the art of having hard conversations, and this applies to all parts of your business. It applies to sales calls, it applies to clients, and it applies to team. And what do I mean? So for sales calls, it's like, okay, do they have the budget? That's a hard conversation. For clients, it's like, okay, do they need a wake-up call on like their progress, or do they need to stop the program or restart the program, or whatever hard conversation comes up when you're dealing with clients. Or when it's team, are they not performing? Are they underperforming? So you want to think about, a lot of times I see CEOs or financial experts or business owners, they avoid having these hard conversations, and then it leads to bigger problems down the line. So I'm going to go over a simple method of how to deal with hard conversations when it comes to any part of your business. So one is, you want to state the facts. And then two, you want to ask a question. Ask a question. It's really simple. There's not more than this, right? But usually, and I'll give you guys an example, a lot of times on, let's say, a sales call, you might get a non-ideal client, someone that has said in your form that they don't have the budget to work with you, or they might be alluding to the fact that they're not ready to hire, they just want to pick your brain on a call. So this is an example of having a hard conversation on a sales call. You ask a fact, you say a fact like, hey, I saw on the form that you filled out that you said you don't have the budget for this. And then you ask a question that comes from curiosity. You really want to be curious of like, why are you on this call if you don't have the budget? So being curious. Another example with clients, let's say a client has rescheduled all the meetings they have with you, right? And it is, when a client reschedules meetings more than one, it also causes chaos in your schedule, right? So again, you want to start with the facts. I noticed that you're rescheduling a lot of meetings. Why is that happening? And part three, if needed, is to set a boundary. So for example, can you enact a no reschedule policy? And then the last example I have for you guys is team. So let's say you have a team member that's underperforming, or they are also late to the calls. There's so many things that can happen with a team. You want to state the facts like, hey, I see that you haven't got your, you haven't submitted like client deliverables on time. Why, right? Simply asking why can just open up the conversation so much faster than trying to just go on a monologue. And then three, set a boundary or an expectation of like, okay, this is the new deadline. This is when I expect it to be done. That can sometimes lead to a consequence. And the thing about hard conversations, and this sounds gross to say, is I like to imagine it as eating the frog, right? Do the hardest thing in your call first. So if you know that you have a hard thing to talk about with a team member, with a client in a sales call, instead of waiting in the for the last 10 minutes of the call to address your concerns, do it first, right? This is where I see a lot of people not closing their sales calls, is they'll wait to bring up the budget concerns at the very end, when you could have brought it up in the first 10 minutes and avoided a lot of fluff. Or for example, you want to say something to a client, you book a check-in call and you're waiting for the last 10 minutes, and then all the like Pandora's box opens, right? So you want to bring that stuff up in the first 10 minutes. I would say even in the first 10 minutes in the conversation, keep your eye on the clock, like see what you guys are actually talking about and why you're both there. Start with the facts, ask a question, and then set a boundary. Or if it's like with the team member, set a consequence, right? What will happen if the situation keeps recycling itself, it keeps reoccurring? That's it. That's what I wanted to go over, hard conversations. I'll give you guys more training on team, but this is just the first part when you're hiring, when you're dealing with clients or sales calls. Any questions about this? No? Okay. Let me